Say something for the podcast. Tell the people what you feel.
I'm just jazzed about being on the show, man.
You are listening to The Objective Jerk, where objectiveness is the objective, and I am said jerk. Rodney King Part 2. It's kind of crazy. How's everybody doing? If you'd like to email me, please do it, theobjectivejerk@gmail.com, or message me on the various platform messaging services. Before I get into this story, I guess people didn't like my C word episode. So which I guess I was expecting, but I don't know. I think it's funny. I'm sorry. But sorry. But I guess, I gotta, because I do put clips. Well, no, I do put the full episode on YouTube and various things, and even though as far as podcasts go, you can somewhat say whatever you want, which is why I like doing the podcast as opposed to doing a YouTube channel. Even though I'm doing a YouTube channel as well, that's just more of like a secondary thing, and nobody really views the full episodes on YouTube. They do the shorts, so I don't know, but we'll see. But yeah, people didn't really like that one, so I guess I will try to reframe, or is it reframe? No, reframe from saying that word, the bad C word. Anyway. So yeah, Rodney King Part 2, right? For those that are young enough to not know or not be around when Rodney King happened, fuck you. No, I'm joking. But, a lot of us do remember. This new one, though, is pretty bad. And I don't know a whole lot about it. I just saw, like, a headline and a quick little something, and I was just like, oh, jeez. And it's, those that have listened to me more than once, they know that I'm a supporter of police and everything, and but, and I try not to jump to any kind of rash, conclusions without knowing everything and getting all the audio, video, and whatever. But this was pretty blatant, and these officers are essentially murderers, because I guess the guy died. And it's pretty sick. I mean, from what I saw, the guy was on the ground. There was like 4 or 5 of them hitting him with batons, pepper, like everything, and it's like, what the hell, man? They're just letting out aggression on this poor guy, and maybe this guy was a douchebag, but that's just not how police officers are supposed to, react to and or portray themselves, or you know what I mean? Like these guys aren't cops, and I don't care if they're black, white, whatever. They're police officers, and they failed their, city or state, whatever. Dang it, I almost drank all my coffee already. All right, but so I was found an article by the BBC. So, because I hate, reading anything that's in the States, because it's whatever. But, so, it's got the little video clip. Also, it looks like there's 4 of them, 4 officers. But let's see, so I was just going to read this little article. Because, like I said, I don't know a whole lot about it, and that's what the point of this was. So, basically, it says, Memphis Police Department has disbanded the so-called Scorpion Special Unit, whose officers are accused of murdering Tyre Nichols. Scorpion. Scorpion stands for Street Crime Operation to Restore Peace in Our Neighborhoods. Okay. Do you think they had the scorpion first and figured out a way to fill it in? So we gotta figure out something to do scorpion because that'd be cool. The unit is a 50-person, or probably was a 50-unit person, 50-person unit with the mission of bringing down crime levels in particular areas. But now it is being abolished after its officers were seen beating Mr. Nichols, 29, in a video from January 7th. In a statement, the department said it is the best interest of all to permanently deactivate the unit. Yeah, I agree with that. While the heinous actions of a few cast a cloud of dishonor on the title Scorpion, it is imperative that we, the Memphis Police Department, take proactive steps in the healing process for all impacted, it added. Dude, it's not just the title of Scorpion, it's all police officers, This shit right here is what really... this is why people should protest, not burn buildings and cop cars and stuff. And, protest like how they used to. I don't know. This is why... this is some bullshit right here, this is why you can see why there was the rights movement and everything in the 60s. And speaking of that real quick, just a little side note. I'm watching, I'm in the middle of watching, what's it called? I think it's called One Night in Miami. And it's about a night with Muhammad Ali right before he becomes Muhammad Ali. So he's Cassius Clay. Malcolm X, Sam Cooke, the singer, and Jim Brown, the football player. They all were friends. And it was the night when Ali became champ, and so they're all hanging out. And I guess they hung out in a hotel, just, it was kind of a lame party, I guess, or something. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of cool. I didn't, but it's, stuff like this article right here, you could see why, so some of the stuff that people, and I'm not going to get into people are saying this whole thing is because of white supremacy and all this kind of shit. They're trying to drag in the stupid. I think there's actual rights movements, or there's rights activists that are legit, or activism that's legit, and then you have the bullshit woke crap. And I guess just like bad cops make good cops look bad, there's this stupid activism wokeness that makes other activism look bad. You know what I mean? So, but it is incidences like this that you need to have. There needs to be people there to, excuse me, do it right, and not just, have people burn down businesses and all this stuff. So I mean, this kind of stuff I can get behind and agree with. And yes, there needs to be some sort of change. And I think they're working on the change, there are some, it's just tough though. It's you need to, the biggest change is really the background, the background check is hard enough. A lot of people don't get in, but I think some people get through, or I don't know. I can't, all my law enforcement experience stems from the government side. So I was never a city PD officer, and I don't think I ever would have been, or I might not even been accepted. You know what I mean? I might not have made it through the ringer. But anyway, the thing is, it's it is a pretty arduous process to be on a police department. It's just not you apply and your backgrounds check out. Okay, cool. They do. You gotta, physical, you gotta take a test. They do all this other stuff, and then they do like, you know, the background check, and then they do like an arduous mental kind of thing to see what, you know what I mean, if you have the mental clarity and or strength to be a police officer. And it's a long process. And when people, oh man, okay, I'm trying not to, I want to read this article, but so it's a long process to get to be, you know, selected and or hired and be working and then be like a police officer. And then you have like, you know, your, you know, rookie, whatever year. And even then a lot of places, like after that year, they can decide to, you know, he's not working out, you're gone, right? But that's like a whole lot of money and a whole lot of time invested in somebody. And then when you have all the bullshit that came about and people were like defund the police and all this hate towards the police, and then police were leaving and they were quitting by the tens, by the hundreds, and you're stuck with, you know, it's not like you just have people, okay, here you go, now you're police officers. You know, they have to go through that process. So then now you're like way short-handed. So now the police officers you do have are totally getting smoked, getting fucking worked to the bone while they're trying to, you know, fulfill those openings. And by the time they do, those other cops are burnt out. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not just as easy as like, okay, we need to do better, more training or this. I mean, you know, training is not a bad thing. It's just kind of difficult to get a whole department to train. You know, it's again, that's an arduous task right there to do, you know, training for, you know, your officers. You got to take them off the road, and they have to sit there and do all these classes and this training, and then you shift everybody around. It's a hard, and it's law enforcement is not only tough for the officer, but it's just tough for the organization as a whole, you know? Excuse me. So yes, do they need to find out, maybe they need to figure out ways to, maybe like some sort of system, they need to pay cops more so they can keep the better ones and get rid of the bad ones, and just kind of do, you know, an annual training thing that involves probably seeing a therapist or something, maybe. I don't know, you know, because cops do, you know, start off with good intentions, and then, you know, who knows. But defunding the police is not the answer. That's just, that makes it worse, and that's what's happened. You know what I mean? It's probably a little different for every city, every town. I don't know, you know what I mean? So, just something to think about. Anyway, okay. Back to the article. I got a little off track. Okay. Well, the heinous... Okay, I read it. So, Mr. Nichols' family welcomed the decision in a statement from their lawyers, calling it both appropriate and proportional to the tragic death of Tyre Nichols, and also a decent and just decision for all citizens of Memphis. The unit was launched in October 2021 with a focus on high-impact crimes such as car thefts and gang-related offenses. See, this isn't even an old little whatever it is. What is it called? Group? But this group is probably kind of like, you guys seen Denzel? Or no, not Training Day. I'm thinking of the one with Keanu Reeves. Well, I guess... Oh, somebody calling me? Oh, my wife's calling me. Damn it. Alright, hold on a second. Alright, so I guess Training Day is like it too, because they have their little squad, or they used to be, and then they kind of screw over that guy. But it's like, you know, it's a squad of law enforcement officers that kind of become, basically the bad guys and stuff like that, and let the power go to their head and stuff like that. But I'm kind of thinking that that's kind of like what this is. Or just, it made me think of this. Anyway, all right. Let's see. Okay, the 5 officers, it's naming some guys, I don't know. They were taken into custody on Thursday, and each faces charges of second-degree murder, aggravated assault, aggravated kidnapping, official misconduct, and official oppression. 4 of the 5 posted bail and were released from custody by Friday morning, according to jail records. Lawyers for Mr. Martin. Okay, anyway. Clients will plead not guilty. The unit that murdered Tyre has been permanently disbanded. Protesters shouted into a megaphone in Memphis, and the crowd erupted into cheers. Despite the rain, the group of fewer than 100 protesters had gathered in the square in front of the Memphis police headquarters to demand change to a system of policing that they said makes a habit of brutalizing black people in Memphis and across the country. Memphis has taken a stance at Casio Montez. This means we're doing something right. Mr. Montez vowed that he and other community organizers would continue to pressure Memphis Police Chief Davis and city officials until the community demands are met, including reforming the department's organized crime unit. Well, okay, so I think that's a little more doable, doing reforming their crime unit, as opposed to just, defunding the police and shit like that. In an interview with BBC News, the Scorpion unit was created to be more responsive and more proactive to gun violence in the city. But she acknowledged that the officers who brutally beat Tyre Nichols decided to go off the rails. Yes, they did. See, here's the thing. Okay, so they were more responsive and more proactive to gun violence in the city. So they were responding to little teeny wars, little deployments, So how different are these guys that maybe been involved in possible shootouts or whatever, and then they have to deal with somebody that it was not, but then they just have all that. It's a tough racket, man. Like me personally, I don't think I'm gonna get through this whole article because I keep going off the rails here. But me personally, when I got out of the Army, I felt fine. I thought I was pretty good. I mean, I had, I got blown up in a truck, and I had a few things over and over. I got shot at and RPG'd and something blowed up. A couple different vehicle car bombs and various things, and your stress levels are up because you're constantly trying not to get killed. But I mean, I felt like mentally I was fine, and I was kind of still wanting to go to the police department, and but I actually picked a security job in Vegas because they were making good money. I had some friends that were doing that, but I actually ended up working for the Department of the Army Police at one of the Army installations, and so I did that, and I enjoyed that, and I felt pretty level-headed. Probably sometimes I wasn't a little more, how would I say, like I should maybe a little more, I'm trying to figure out how to say this. That's just, but I felt like there were times where, other officers would maybe kind of get too excited, get too whatever, I don't know. And then there were times when I wasn't a little more paranoid in a good way. If that's, I don't know. But I, I did that for a little while, and then I did like armed security, and for the most part, I mean, I guess, I had some blow ups at home occasionally, off my temper or whatever. And I don't know if it's because of my combat experience, and then working, I was like really, I didn't want to, it's like you'd kind of keep your composure real well. It's like, I don't know how to explain it, and then part of it was, I think I didn't feel much of a threat because I was armed, you know what I mean? And people would still somewhat and did, even when I was DA police, respected me as an officer and this and that, right? But now, as time has progressed, and my mental, I don't know, my whatever, it was getting worse. You know what I mean? And I was starting to kind of have blow-ups even at work, and stress and at home and this and that, and wasn't dealing with it properly, or healthy, I guess. And I don't know. So I picture myself in that frame, in that point, in that period in my life, and I'm like, man, if I was to be a police officer at that point in time, I don't know. You know what I mean? I always considered myself to be pretty objective, without, or just kind of like giving people the benefit of the doubt, and, try to be fair and just. But, like I said, in that period of my life, if I was actually a police officer and something happened similar to what this, which I didn't really get to, and I'm sorry, kind of went off, but, I don't know if I could, I might have been right there with them swinging that baton. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's being, a police officer, or having some of that, putting your life, or having that stress level at a constant whatever, and not releasing that stress in a positive and healthy way, really fucks up people's mindset, like I got a part-time job for Home Depot. This was probably, when was this? This was 2015, somewhere around there, maybe a little before, a little after. I can't remember if it was quite 16. Maybe it was 6. I don't know, but it was somewhere around there. And what it was is, it was kind of like a new position that was, that Home Depot had created, where people could order items online and then come and pick it up from the store. So basically it was like, the order would come through, we would go grab it, we'd stick it in a thing, and then, whenever the person could come and get it. So, God, without going into too much detail. Anyway, so whenever there wasn't a bunch of orders to be shelved or whatever, or picked, you would just go and kind of help other, departments or whatever. So I can't remember actually the details, but there was a guy that was in charge of, like, I think the lumber side, and he wanted me to do something, and I'm just like, dude, I got all these orders. I gotta I gotta get these, and there wasn't a whole lot of communication there. Like what was, I was hired for this, but then it was like, I don't know. I think he was told something else. And so anyway, I was like, okay, I can do this, but then I'm going to need help with my thing. And he was like, no, I'm not, or something like that. And I was just like, and I immediately went from how I am now to fucking wanting to beat his ass into the concrete. And it was, at one of those stations there, and there was customers around. I went full red, and I was like, look, motherfucker. I was like, I'm not your fucking slave. I'm here to do my fucking job, not pick up after your, I went on this fucking thing, and I was just ready to just, like, I almost wanted him to do something to just give me, and I'm glad they didn't, because then I want to get charged with something. But the point is, the officers, to kind of go back to, it's like they, if these guys were some sort of special unit, and I'm really not trying to justify what they did. What they did was wrong. It was completely wrong. These guys, they murdered the guy. Even if the guy, survived, these officers, I would say should never be, or they should not be police officers. But, he was murdered, he was killed there, so if they, I don't know, I guess two of them said not guilty or whatever because maybe they weren't in charge. There's somebody in there that's going to jail. And if somebody doesn't, then that's gonna be a shitstorm. I don't know, but like I said, I'm not trying to justify them for doing what they did. I'm just trying to explain to people why they may have done it. You know what I mean? Just to give them that kind of the outside in kind of viewpoint instead of just the immediate, they're, murderers and this and that, I mean, these police officers could be complete cocksuckers, and maybe they're actually criminals and, take bribes and steal money, and maybe they've killed other people, or who knows. But point is, I do agree that, there are some, with this kind of instance, things need to change from this. Absolutely. I do not think George Floyd and that whole thing, seeing that and everything, no, that was horse shit. That whole thing was horse shit. Now, this situation here, now this, bringing up, starting whatever, Black Lives Matter and this whole so-called, Black Lives movement and stuff, or Black Lives Matter and everything. No, I think George Floyd and that whole thing, that was garbage. That was straight trash and was political and all this other crap. Anyway, but this is, I feel very sorry for the guy. Even if this Tyre guy, which I'll look into it more, even if the guy's like, a drug dealer and, kind of a shitbag himself, he didn't deserve to, get beat like this for getting pulled over or something like that, let alone murdered. But anyway, that's it. If you'd like to send me an email, please do it at theobjectivejerk@gmail.com, or you can message me on the various Twitter, all the various platforms. So anyway, let me know. Thanks for listening. Appreciate your time, and I'll see you next time. Yeah.